It had to happen at some point. It had to happen at some point. Oh dear. Microphone fail. Microphone fail. An hour long show, an hour and a minute, the longest show practically ever. And I was so funny. I was on fire. I was hysterical. And you'll never get to see it. So I'm afraid you're just gonna have to listen to me on this re-recording where I'm droll and uninterested and boring. So, but welcome anyway to Inside the Video Store. Yeah, I have my microphone on my T-shirt here, and lo and behold, every time I went to pick something up, my T-shirt folded over, and it was just for like an hour and 1 minute, and it was just probably the most irritating thing unimaginable. So yes, I just dashed home to rescue my tea, turned the oven down. We're good for 45 minutes. I'm going to condense it. We're going to rattle through stuff. And yes, let's get on with the show. Welcome. It's been a very good week, apart from the last 2 hours. It's been a very good week at Snips Movies. Another record-breaking week, and I sound like a stuck record, but it has been another record-breaking week. More films out on loan than ever before. It's terrifying, but it's very, very exciting indeed. So that's great news. It even got to the stage on Saturday evening where, these little red film on loan tickets were almost out of stock because, so many films were out on loan. It was crazy. I mean, remember a time a few years back, I have a little tub of these behind the counter, and it's always full. And it always has been full, really. But I gave a few away because I thought, well, I'm never, ever going to need all of these, am I? Because people were paying silly money for them on eBay. Someone was charging £20 per film on loan ticket on eBay, which is crazy. So I thought, don't pay for them. I'll give you them. So I gave a few people a couple of film on loan tickets. So can I have them back, please? But no, that's good. It's exciting. Snips is doing its first sponsorship thing. First sponsorship of an event. Something never, ever even considered. But yeah, there's a really exciting event coming up in Liverpool. And I think is it next month or the month after? I'm not going to say too much about it because I'm meeting the organizers tomorrow just to hear about the event, what it is, what they do. It's for young filmmakers. I do know that. So more will be announced in due course, but it's very, very exciting. It'll be great for Snips to be associated with something like that. Also, as far as Snips in the broader scheme of things, keep your ear out for Radio Merseyside. Next week, Wednesday, the 30th of April on the BBC, 2:30 in the afternoon. I think you may be unfortunate enough to hear my voice. See what you think and see if it makes any sense at all. And check they haven't butchered me. I feel like butchering myself after wasting an hour. But hey, these things happen. We got to 56, did we, without any kind of hash-ups like that? So can't complain. Anyway, big box of things. Interesting week, really. Kind of a dilemma in terms of purchasing physical media. 4 big films this week. 4 films that either one could have led the way. Either one could have been kind of the tentpole movie. It's one of those, the budget won't stretch for like 4 massive purchases. So what do you do? I thought I'm going to have to play it safe and pick 2. So I picked 2. But then you've got another dilemma in that which of them deserves 2 blues and 1 DVD? Which of them deserves 2 DVD and 1 blue? So I've gone for it this way. So I think personally, the lead film of the week is Baby Girl, which to me is the film that I probably would go for out of this week's new releases initially. I would happily watch them all. But Baby Girl would be my first protocol, mainly because it's an erotic thriller. And they don't make erotic thrillers anymore. This stars Nicole Kidman, as well as Harris Dickinson and Antonio Banderas. It sounds great. Really looking forward to this. So we're up to for the 2 Blues and the 1 DVD. On par is Flight Risk, but with Flight Risk, you see, if you look at the description on the back of the box, it describes it as a high-stakes suspense thriller. High-stakes suspense thriller used to be the meat and drink of movie rental stores back in the day. But high-stakes suspense thrillers now tend to stay on Amazon Prime and Netflix. They just don't come to home video anymore. Here is this one. I'm guessing that this will attract primarily the fair weather renters, the people who come in maybe once every now and then, because obviously it's a lot of money to rent it on Prime, a lot of money to rent it on Sky Go. So they might think, well, I'm going to rent the new Mel Gibson film, who directed this, from Snips. So yeah, we're going for 2 DVDs on this one and a Blu-ray, because most fair weather renters just have DVD players. So I think that was a sensible option. But then we have 2 other films that could easily, on any other week, have been the main movie. Wolfman is a new movie by Lee Wanell. It's the new Blumhouse film, a remake of the classic Lon Chaney film in some capacity. Didn't light up the box office, did it? But still, it's one of those films that will have a life on home video. Next up, another film that could have, well, yeah, I mean, this is a film that a lot of renters will gravitate towards. It's Hard Truths. If you hear a lot of banging, it's my tenant upstairs who has a very excitable 9-year-old. Hard Truths, which is, the new Mike Leigh film. You don't get many Mike Leigh films. You might not get many more Mike Leigh films. But this is Marianne Jean-Baptiste, who was so phenomenal in Secrets and Lies. It's going to be mega. Blu-ray, first ever Mike Leigh film here to get a Blu-ray. And a DVD, so that's it. I mean, look at those 4 releases. It is quite spectacular. And rounding it all off with the contemporary releases is the documentary on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum called the Rubber Keyed Wonder Special Edition Blu-ray with an extra disc that boasts 3 hours of features. What those features are, we do not know because they're not listed on the back of the box. Kind of an oversight in some regard. What else have we got here? We have the boutiques. As you know, the last 2 weeks of the month are boutique heaven. And this week certainly is no exception to the rule. Making its debut in the Criterion Collection is Chungking Express. Very cool indeed. The One Car Y film. Available here on dual format, 4K UHD and Blu-ray. The only downside being there's not a vast amount of special features on this. Just an interview with Christopher Doyle and also an episode of Moving Pictures from 1996. You kind of wanted a bit more. Indicated are doing their 4 movie thing, 4 separate releases, so 4 separate unconnected releases, but they're all great films. We have Little Man What Now from 1934. We have Spawn of the North with George Raft from 1938. Is that? Yeah. We have Dangerous to Know with Gail Patrick and Anna May Wong from 1938. And we have Gregory Peck in the Fred Zinnemann film, Behold, a Pale Horse. So that's superb indeed. Now, the release of the week I'm most looking forward to personally is the new entry in the BFI Flipside series. It's Eclipse, a film by Simon Perry, which stars Tom Conti and Gay Hamilton. Sounds fantastic. It's set in a remote cliffside house on the Scottish coast, and it promises to be a strange and unsettling experience, an eerie, atmospheric, and psychological thriller. So yeah, I can't wait to see that. Sounds right up my street. So I'm going to put that to one side there so I don't forget it. I'm going to be very, very polite with the 88 Films releases because I think we've got 10 commentaries lined up for them in the next 12 months, which is, should keep us very busy indeed. Some really, really great stuff coming. But this, I wasn't going to upgrade this. I've got it on Blu-ray. I think I've got it on DVD too. But yeah, I thought, why not? It is one of the best giallos on the market. Aldo Lado's masterpiece, arguably. Brilliant score by Ennio Morricone. Jean Sorel has really been better. And it's great, just a really intriguing premise. And that last scene is just, it's just a great sequence. You'll know what I mean when you see it. But great, Short Night of Glass Dolls, an excellent, excellent giallo film. And certainly, if you're a newcomer to giallo, or you maybe don't know where to begin, this is a really great entry. There's not a vast amount of blood, there's not a vast amount of sex, but it's just a really interesting, great psychological piece of work. So yeah, that's Short Night of Glass Dolls from 88 Films this week. The latest release in their Japaniki range is Yakuman and Tetsu, which sounds fantastic. It's an early action masterpiece from Kinji Fukasaku, who of course did Battles Without Honor and Humanity, and it's from a script written by the legendary Akira Kurosawa. I mean, you cannot go on with that. Just in terms of Japaniki, obviously I've got the Japaniki range there, but you'll remember last week I built the third window section, which is just slightly to the left of camera, just here. What that has done by putting those 60 third window films on a separate section, it's given me almost a whole shelf in the world cinema section, which is just so vital. It means obviously here I've got loads more room for the Roman porno films, loads more room for Radiance Japan, loads more room for Rara Video in the Italians, ditto Hong Kong and the 88 Films Hong Kong releases, and even with the 88 Erotica, French erotica that's expanding later on this year. So there's so much leeway now. I said it in the past, but the world cinema section is so important to me. You know, as you well know, we're becoming a more and more intolerant society. Some of us are anyway. Less interested in other ethnicities and history and things like that, other cultures. We just, get that kind of blinders on, those blinkers on. And we need world cinema represented. It's so important to dip into other cultures because we're being starved of it elsewhere in other mediums. So this section is really, really, really important to me, and to find a way to kind of grow it but keep it in the same place with the same format is a result, I reckon. And one entering the martial arts section this week is Lady with a Sword in a very shiny silver slipcover. It's a martial arts film directed by a lady as well, which is particularly pertinent. So that's very cool indeed. I'm going to put these back in this box, controversially, so they can stay all together. It's my first job for tomorrow. Always the first job on a Thursday is to get the new releases on the shelf. Somehow. But we'll get there. But it's a great week. It is a really bona fide great week. Certainly if I was a customer here, I would look at this box and I would say, probably 10 of those interest me. I like really want to rent them now, kind of interest me. So yeah, that is this week's brand new releases. I'm going to shove this box over here. Oh, just while I do, and I mentioned erotic thrillers before, just one I forgot to mention last week, and that's Night Time is the Possession that I picked up on VHS. A really, really interesting release because it's not a Night Times movie. You know the Night Times films, don't you? With Andrew Stevens in the first couple. Produced the others. I love that series. One of the most important erotic thriller franchises of the 90s. But this isn't one of them, despite it being called Night Time is the Possession. This is actually a Fred Olen Ray film called Possessed by the Night from 1994. But the British distributor thought, hey, make a few quid on this. Let's call it Night Time is the Possession. So they did. Good old Shannon Tweed stars in that. But yeah, just wanted to point it out. It cost me a few quid, that. But what's rented out? What has rented out? A lot has rented out. And it's one of those situations where difficult to select 8. Because, you got hundreds and hundreds of movies going out. How can you pick 8? So this was very unscientifically done. So I just picked 8 that I thought are really unique and don't go out that often. This is one, Door on the Floor. Probably hasn't been out for a decade. Very, very good film by Todd Williams. A mature indie drama. Great cast. Jeff Bridges, Kim Basinger, Elle Fanning, Bijou Phillips, Mimi Rogers. It's great. Quality film set in the gorgeous Hamptons. And yeah, truly recommended. So pleased to see that going out. You'll all know that Ryan Coogler's new film is doing well, critically acclaimed. People are watching it, people are loving it. Can't wait to see it. This earlier film hasn't been out for quite some time, but hopefully now, with his new film doing well, then this film from 2013 will have a bit of a renaissance because it deserves it. It's a remarkable film. It's Fruitvale Station, and it is quite excellent. And I hope a few people discover it for the first time. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon is an excellent horror film that doesn't quite get the rep that it should. If you're looking for it in store, it is Behind the Mask. No, literally, it is Behind the Mask. It's behind my Jason mask. So if you're looking for Behind the Mask, look Behind the Mask. Great film. I had a nice young guy in on Tuesday called Matt. He wants to make a documentary. Another person making a documentary. All good. So he's coming in next Wednesday with some friends to film it. And he rented 2 films, but for his third, he wanted a recommendation. Always tricky, because what do you recommend people? I don't know his taste. So I just thought, random one, The Appointment needs to be seen by more people. So I thought, yeah, let's do The Appointment. Great film, Edward Woodward. Brilliant British film that just disappeared completely back in the early 80s when it shouldn't have done. But here it is on Blu-ray from the VFI flip side. Fantastic, and it's great. If I did my top 20 films of all time, Milano Calibro 9 would be on there. I'm not wearing my Fernando De Leo t-shirt today, or a bit of Sergio Martino. But Milano Calibro 9 is one of the best Polizio Tescis you'll ever see. Similarly with Short Night of Glass Dolls, if you want to get into Polizio Tesci movies, this is the start here, and it's all downhill. It's not. I mean, there's great films like High Crime and stuff like that. But start with Milano Calibro 9. It is my favorite, and I think it's one of the best. It's an absolute masterpiece. And a lovely couple in from St. Helens, which, for those of you who don't know the local area, it's about a 40-minute drive. They came in, I think it was Friday night, for a really, really good look around. That's one of the things I'm noticing more with people is browsing time. Some people are browsing for longer and longer and longer, and that's really, really nice. I'm open for 9 hours. You can pretty much come in at 10 and stay all day if you want. You won't get fed though. And it was great. They found some great films, and this was one that they'd really been looking forward to watching. But they've been renting movies from Cinema Paradiso, who are a great company, but they didn't have that one on Cinema Paradiso. But I had it here, so they rented it. It is Looking for Richard, the great Al Pacino pseudo documentary. I love this film to bits. It's great, and Kevin Spacey's in it, which might put off some people. Out of all the directors sections that I have in store, which are probably about 70 or 80, the most popular director section right now has to be Brian De Palma. Even at the moment, I have Phantom of Paradise out on loan. I have Carrie out on loan. I think another one is out on loan, maybe Femme Fatale. But it's great to see Obsession going out. Probably not the go-to Brian De Palma film of some people, but it should be, because it's really, really good. Fascination, also known as. And finally, in this week's Rentables, Liv was in, who has been bursting through loads of William Peter Blatty's books and read The Ninth Configuration. And I said, oh, you need to watch the film. It's so cool. And so she rented it and can't wait until it comes back in. Because I rented this to a few people and they've not really liked it. And it is a very niche film. It's not for everyone. A few people just don't really appreciate it, which is fair. You know, it's critically, it wasn't beloved by any stretch of the imagination, but I really, really do like it. I find it hysterical and terrifying at the same time, which is always a great combination. So I'm interested to see what they think of it when they bring it back. So that is The Ninth Configuration. And that is this week's Rentables, a very nice selection indeed. Right, I'm going to power through What's in the Box, because it is a What's in the Box to behold. It is ridiculous. There's 5 stacks of films. And yeah, I've got my tea in the oven. So come on, people. Priorities, priorities. Finger licking great. Hot lunch, anybody? Story. This, of course, will not find its way onto the shelves at Snips. It's part of Vinegar Syndrome's Triple X offshoot, Melusine.com. This one's released by Picorama. For me, though, it's a really important film because it's by the director John Hayes. John Hayes is one of those legends who I regard very, very highly. Just a remarkable career that lasted 25, 30 years. He made some amazing films, some of my favorites, like Grave of the Vampire, for example. Another great movie that I've just name has escaped me with Michael Pataki. It'll come back to me. And yeah, just a wonderful career of 25, 30 films, all of which are barely known. But to me, I went through a phase during the first lockdown where I discovered all of his films and just consumed them all over a short period of time. And he's just a remarkable character, diverse range of movies and, of course, pornography. So this is a double bill of Hot Lunch and Baby Rosemary, which are two very good Triple X films, to be honest. I'll put those over there, though, because that will be locked behind the Snips Triple X section with Group 4 security manning the door at all times, hours of the day. Also, we have Jose Benazaraf, great little box set from Pulse Video. Oops, cover that, just in case YouTube censor it. And that is, it's a little set of six of his films, including Black Love, which I can't think what that might be about. But yeah, six of his films made between 1973 and 1976. So that's great. That's from Pulse Video in coordination with Melusine.com. Okay, that's the Triple X out the way. The partner labels, I picked up the new Saturn's Core release, which is Bone Sickness, which sounds terrific, to be honest. Sounds absolutely terrific. It's a Fulci-inspired mission statement from the Massachusetts master of SOV garage gore, Brian Paulin. It looks fantastic. A zombie epic, an operatic orgy of carnage. So says the box. But yeah, Saturn's Core, brilliant stuff. Project Omicron is released by VHS Hitfest, and it sounds remarkable. Listen to this. Jared Whittam started Project Omicron when he was 15 years old and spent 7 years working on it. The result is one of the most unique and mind-bending sci-fi films that you can imagine, while also being a perfect love letter to 50s science fiction films. That sounds incredible, doesn't it? So yeah, that is Project Omicron. From Distripix is Last Tango in Paris. Bit of a strange one for Distripix, who have so far prided themselves on releasing quite obscure erotica. They've decided to put Last Tango in Paris on 4K UHD, which is great. I mean, brilliant film from Bertolucci, wasn't it? Yeah. So there it is, in a lovely little hardbox slipcase there. That's Last Tango in Paris. We have some Lucio Fulci. Murder Rock. Murder Rock is out on 4K UHD and Blu-ray. 88 are doing their own edition of this in the coming weeks, months. Not sure of the difference. I'm sure there will be some kind of difference. But I can see myself having 2 copies of Murder Rock on 4K UHD, which would be completely ridiculous. But there we go. Such is the nature of the beast. But as Lucio Fulci's Murder Rock, the Video Syndrome has released some fantastic Blu-ray editions of Troma movies, and Igor and the Lunatics continues that trend. From 1985, it's one of those films that was funded by Troma Entertainment, but they weren't happy with the finished article, so they ended up doing extensive reshoots in order to up the movie's gore quotient, and that is the film we have, Igor and the Lunatics. Now this sounds interesting. It's a double bill. Devil Doll, Curse of the Voodoo. Now this is from a guy who I've never heard about. I don't know if you have. A fellow by the name of Lindsay Shonteff. a Canadian expat, apparently, who produced a diverse body of work during his few decades spent toiling on the fringes of England's low-budget film community. This is a pair of films he made for the producer of Horror Hospital, Richard Gordon. Double Doll 1964, Curse of the Voodoo 1965. Interesting. Drop Zone is out via Cinematograph. Bizarre release from Cinematograph. Kind of a middle finger, I guess, to their to their reputation of only doing art house movies. I mean, fair enough. You know, when you're in charge of a label, you can do whatever you want. Whether it's deserving of a 4K UHD upgrade in this lavish set, I do not know. I watched it again, probably for the first time since the cinema at the weekend, and it's an enjoyable film. It's an enjoyable film with some good practical effects work. And it's directed by John Badham, who's, of course, a great filmmaker, but a strange one. A strange one. But there we go. Let's not complain. The Nesting, finally, from Vinegar Syndrome, is out on 4K UHD and Blu-ray. That's the cover that you may remember the film having. Interesting slipcover. Good film. I saw it the weekend. Looks great. A little bit long. A little bit long. I don't like my horror films being 110 minutes. I think 110 minutes is a bit excessive. A little bit excessive. You know, agoraphobic author, middle of nowhere, a lot of the time by herself or with one other character, kind of drags. But still. Okay, we've got a couple of random arrivals here for what's in the box. As you know, I've been destroying my wish lists. I have this insane paranoia whereby I feel that the films on my wish lists are gradually becoming harder and harder to get. The prices are going up and up and up. So, well, the only way to conquer this is by saying, right, let's buy everything. So I did. So I just got the dregs of the Masters of Cinema series titles that I missed out on in. So King of Hearts is now in stock, which I can't wait to see. It sounds fantastic. I do love a bit of Alan Bates. And it's described as a cult comic masterpiece that was a flop upon its initial release in France, but found a home in America. The Chant of Jimmy Blacksmith was going for crazy money, but somehow I managed to dig out a copy that was 15 quid, which was a bargain, even if the slip is a little bit dented. But I'm fine with that. It's a great edition of the Australian classic, and I can't wait to have a look at that. Now, I've had Chillerama on Region A Blu-ray for quite some time now. I love this film to bits. It's Tim Sullivan directing, it's Adam Green directing, it's Adam Rifkin directing, it's Joe Lynch directing, a quartet par excellence. And it's a great movie. I find hysterical, absolutely hysterical. And I've had my Region A Blu-ray for probably a decade. And I just presumed it would come out at some point. I mean, why wouldn't it? Look at the pedigree. But it hasn't. So here it is now, a German release. A customer asked me for it last week, and I thought, I've got to do something about that. I love this film to bits. So picked up the German release. Fantastic. One for the kids is Girl Hell 1999, a quite disgusting film from Japan. It's only 65 minutes, thankfully. I managed to endure it all a few days ago. It's out now from Massacre Video. They've done a good job putting it onto Blu-ray, obviously from Video Master, I would have thought. But yeah, it's a grim state of affairs. But if you like your grim films, then there you go. Someone somewhere asked me for a copy of The Fourth War. I don't think it's had a British DVD release. I forget who asked me for it. It's a John Frankenheimer film. Roy Scheider is in it, Jürgen Prochnow is in it, and Harry Dean Stanton is in it. Fourth War, out now on MGM MOD. It is one of those pesky DVDs that has a Region 1 logo on the back, but that's completely false. It plays in all region players. Yeah, I forget who asked me for that, but it's in stock now anyway. And finally, with this little random selection of new arrivals, it is Jess Franco's The Girl from Rio, which is out now on 4K UHD and Blu-ray. A little bit of Eurospy from Jess Franco. Bring more Eurospy films onto Blu-ray. We need them desperately. Okay, quickly moving on. We have some Mondo Macabro releases. Mondo Macabro, one of my favorite labels, needed to dig a little bit deeper into their past to pick up some stuff that I hadn't got before. Really important to do that. Some of the releases that they've put out are incredible. They're renting as well a unique kind of sort of thing. Some unique chapters of Spanish film history. Here we have Love Brides of the Mummy, a France-Spain collaboration available for the first time on home video anywhere in the world. So that's very cool indeed. That is Love Brides of the Blood Mummy time. Right. The Horrible Sexy Vampire, we all know one, is a Spanish film, a something of a holy grail for fans of European horror cinema, and notorious for its frequent scenes of nudity. The film has been available for many years, filmed in Germany in the snowy winter of 1969. That is The Horrible Sexy Vampire. Human animals sound absolutely fascinating. It's set in the aftermath of a cataclysmic nuclear war that has destroyed most of the world's population. Wow. Human animals. Sound fantastic. 1983 from Spain. This is another Spanish film from 1972. This one of the most unique films of the 1970s Spanish horror boom, says the back of the box. So it must be true. Night of the Executioner is Paul Nash's last complete film as a writer, producer, director, and actor. This one is from 1992. Big fan of Paul Nashi. Dr. Caligari is a reimagining of the classic film Dr. Caligari from the 20s. This one is from the imagination of the interesting filmmaker Steven Sayadian, who, of course, has allowed Mondo Macabro to release his magnum opus Cafe Flesh, which will be coming into the store very soon. But this is Dr. Caligari, who I know people like Rob who have ordered Cafe Flesh to have himself. I think he will be interested in watching that. So that's immense. And also we have In the Folds of the Flesh. In the Folds of the Flesh, an Italian-Spanish co-production. Sounds great. Yeah. A Giallo. God, remember the days when we had 2 Giallos in store? Now I've got 100. Madness. Very, very, very speedy treks through some new Asylum arrivals. I've mentioned some of these, so I won't mention them again, which are those 2. Other than that, joining the Asylum section this week. I know I have an Asylum section. What's wrong with me? Joining the Asylum section this week is Headless Horseman, the film by Jose Prendes, a good Asylum filmmaker. We have Tito Ortiz, who I have no idea who that is, in Robot Apocalypse. Director. Oh, right. Ignore me. Yeah, Tito Ortiz, Robot Apocalypse. William Baldwin. I'm watching the Baldwins on Discovery Plus. I'm not, obviously. I would never watch such trash TV. But just curious. William Baldwin in War of the Worlds, Extinction. Looking very grizzled. It's directed by Chris Olin Ray, who is Fred Olin Ray's son. There we go. World Invasion, Alien Attack. They love these apocalyptic films. I must admit, they do them quite well, to be honest. We have Airliner, Sky Battle, which I accidentally ordered 2 of. Who does that? Who orders 2 Airliner Sky Battles? If you want an Airliner Sky Battle, let me know. You can have one for free. And we have Michael Madsen in some killer eyeliner in Monster Mash, which is another Jose Prendes film. And it's not bad, actually, even though there's a really weird moment in it. But yeah, that is Monster Mash with Michael Madsen. There we go. Some Asylum movies for you there. Must put those out. They've been lingering for far too long. And finally, let me just whip through these ultra quickly. Got some new Warner archive Blu-rays, which were cheap as chips. They were about £9.50 each. I've upgraded my DVD copy of The Stars Fell on Henrietta because it's such a great film. Produced by Clint Eastwood and starring Robert Duvall, Aidan Quinn, Francis Fisher, and Brian Dennehy. Good film from the mid-90s if you've not seen it. Great Ziegfeld is a bit of a slog. It's 3 hours, but it has William Powell in it, and that makes up for everything. Sissy Spacek stars in one of the greatest true stories of the 1980s, and that is Marie, a true story. 1985 it's from. Produced by Frank Capra Jr., directed by Roger Donaldson, and starring Sissy Spacek, Jeff Daniels, Morgan Freeman, and Fred Thompson. Not seen it, but it is meant to be literally one of the best true stories of the 1980s. Our first Elvis movie on Blu-ray. Harem Scarum. That's a moment to savor. Now, the rest of these have been on my Asylum. I need the Asylum. I need to be checked into an Asylum. These have been on my Warner Archive list for probably a decade. So to get these in feels like a weird momentous achievement, even though it is just literally clicking a button. But it's just compilations of films that I've been desperate to get in. All contain about 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, some 9 films in each set. We have the George O'Brien Western Collection, which is a 9-film set of his RKO Westerns. We have the Dr. Gillespie Movie Collection, which is like a post-Kildare set of 6 films set at Blair General Hospital. George Arliss, renowned as being a quite moody, serious actor for his portrayals of Disraeli and folk like that, had a great comic ability, and this is 3 of his movies there. Glenda Farrell, you'll know as Torchy Blaine. If you don't know Torchy Blaine, check out the box set of Torchy Blaine movies. They're great fun. These are 3 of her movies, not Torchy Blaine, but 3 great comedies. Red Skelton, he's whistling. He loves whistling. He's whistling in the dark. He's whistling in Dixie, and he's whistling in Brooklyn. Loves whistling, that Red Skelton. 3 of his films there. The Mexican Spitfire. It's been in my basket for ages. I know nothing about these films, other than the fact it stars the beautiful and vivacious Lupe Velez, who plays the irrepressible Carmelita, a scatterbrain whose attempts to add spice to her life and her marriage always result in farcical shenanigans. These are all comedies. Wheeler and Woolsey, I've had in stock, Volume 1 for about a decade. I love these films, so it just made sense to get Volume 2 in of these RKO comedy classics. And finally, I've had people queuing at the door for this, rightly so. Bumba the Jungle Boy. All 12 films now in stock and available to rent from your local movie rental store. I mean, if this doesn't get the punters in, what will? Bumba the Jungle Boy. All 12 movies available to rent at Snips. Wow. So that is it. Apologies for speeding through it. If you were here an hour ago, I would have been taking my time. But it might have been a little more boring. So yeah, that is, I mean, look at that stack. I mean, it's a great stack. Last week's stack was huge, and there's more to come in. I've got some phenomenal box sets coming in from Umbrella, the Aussie distributor. I've got some phenomenal box sets coming in from Imprint, another great Aussie distributor. There's 12 movies there that I can't wait to watch. I've got one of them at home now, and I'm really enjoying plowing through it. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I'll spoil it. I don't think there's much coming in next week, apart from some Film Masters discs and a couple more Warner Archive discs. So next week's show shouldn't be so packed, so I might be able to include those on next week's show. But I don't want to include them on this week's show because there's just too much to kind of digest, in all honesty, and I don't want to bore you, and I don't want my tea to be burnt. But quickly, let's have a look at some questions. I know you've been commenting in your droves in the last week or so. So let's just have a quick look at these cues and give you some A's. What have we got? Inside the video store, 56 comments. Let's have a look. Dave, that's me. Thank you for being a fellow Knight of the Roxbury fan. It's been a stone cold favourite of mine since it was released. I love those Saturday Night Live spin-offs. I know I mentioned it last week with the release of Saturday Live, but it is my soft spot. I don't watch as many comedies as I used to, but I could watch any one of those Saturday Night Live spin-off movies, even the worst ones. Even the worst ones, I could watch them with glee. Not with Glee, the show, but with glee on my face. Honestly, I'm talking deep cuts, deep dives, like Corky Romano. Corky Romano, I find hysterical. I know there's something wrong with me, and it's fine. It's fine. I know. I love Corky Romano. Chris Catton. What happened to him? Chris Catton and Peter Falk. Good lord. And then Bucky Larson. Bucky Larson. Jeez, love that movie to bits. Terrible film, but a guy with a huge who becomes a porn star. Hilarity ensues. It's wrong. It's so wrong, but it's all right. So yeah, Stuart saves his family. It's Pat, Black Sheep, Tommy Boy, all the worst ones. I absolutely love to bits. So that is my weak spot when it comes to comedy. Paul Griggs was excited about renting Krull, and he did rent Krull, and he liked it. So that's very cool indeed. Indie Phantom Sofa Cinema says the new shelves look great, which is the third window stuff. He would love to see the outside and front of the store sometime. Okay, I'll try and include that on another video. Indie Phantom said he's been watching a documentary called Dinner with Leatherface about Gunnar Hansen. So yeah, I must get time to watch that at some point. It sounds great, and he says he's loving the 5 films series. So pleased of the reception to the 5 films series. Chris had a really great episode on Sunday. I thought he was fantastic. Told some really, really good stories about his 18-year tenure as a customer here. This weekend, I think we've got Neil coming up with 5 really good selections. And then I think Paul is the week after. And I think I've got a young lad called Ezra the week after that. Possibly. But yeah, lots of good people. Really enjoying it. I'm glad that people are getting something out of it. Franco-esque just says about Coupe de Chance being available in a multi-region format, which is very exciting indeed. It's not rented out yet, but I've been recommending it to people, so hopefully it will. And he mentions also that Megalopolis, he says he doesn't know what he experienced, but he experienced something. And a few people have said the same thing, to be honest. Jonah Fish says that he saw Megalopolis in theatres, and while it wasn't a great film, he found it fascinating. It wasn't the worst film ever, like so many people proclaimed, but I'd be interested in revisiting it in the future. Yeah, I think both of you guys kind of sum up the feelings of many, many people. Paul Berryman says that Australia got a local Blu-ray Saturday night, which is cool. No Blu-ray here in the UK for Saturday night, which is a bit annoying to be said. James Allen says about the Yokkei box sets looking amazing. They do look amazing. Do I have a kaiju section? No, but there's kind of Gamera films in the back there in the box set section, which you're welcome to look at any point in time. And of course, the vast Godzilla set from Criterion, which many people go through, and really pleased that that's a big success. We Can Rebuild Him blog says, where did you find the Warner Archive Hitman disc? I can't find it anywhere except US sites with a huge shipping cost. Unfortunately, I found it on the US site with a huge shipping cost. But what I do, I have a PO box. I have a PO box, and I just collate orders in that PO box, 2, 3, 4, 5 orders at a time, and pay 1 shipping fee. Life-changing decision that I made about 3 years ago, and has been brilliant. Mr. Grinnell says that the ever-expanding Looney Tunes section is great. Out of interest, as you didn't answer in store, sorry, which, in your opinion, is your favorite Looney Tunes character? It will always be Porky Pig, as he would taste great on a slow roast. And finally, we have a question from Film Explorer. Busiest and quietest times of the day in store. Interesting. There's no pattern. To be honest. There used to be a pattern back in the day when I was working for Blockbuster, 98, 99. I'd be writing a rota, and I'd have 4 members of staff in on Friday night, 4 members of staff in on a Saturday night, but during the week I'd have 2. because you know that everyone will pile in on a Friday and a Saturday night. Now, though, there's no pattern. There's no pattern because you're working on a weekly rental. You're working on a weekly rental, so people are safe in the knowledge that they can come in on a Monday and they can get something for the Saturday. So it just depends when people are free. If people are having a day off, they might come along and spend an hour browsing, pick 3 films. So yeah, it's taken the pressure off the weekend, to be honest. So it's spread out quite evenly. I mean, some days will be very busy. Like I had a really busy Tuesday last week, but then the Thursday a lot quieter. But then Friday was busy. So there's no pattern. It's unpredictable. All I know is I'm going to hit a certain amount of rentals every week, which I do. But how it comes and in what format and on what days, I have no idea. It's really varied, and it just depends when people have got the time to hang out. And the business used to be in the evening, but now it's not. The business starts at 10 a.m. and goes right through the day because people do tend to come here on their day off when they've got free time and when they can browse for a bit. So yeah, it's changed a lot, but in a nice way. Less pressure, which is good. More time to talk to people, which is good. Time to talk to you. Time not to talk to you because my tea is in the oven and it could be on the cusp of being burnt. So I'm going to lock up, dash off, rent Eclipse, and I will see you in 7 days' time.